Clubhouse is an audio-based social media mobile application for iOS created by Paul Davidson and Rohan Seth of Alpha Exploration Co. The description given on the Apple App Store reads, Clubhouse is a space for casual drop-in audio conversations with friends and other interesting people around the world. It launched in April of 2020, just in time for the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Influencer Marketing Hub, Clubhouse has over 10 million downloads, but only about 2 million weekly active users. Clubhouse is unique in social media tools in that only those who have been invited are allowed in, just like a real Clubhouse. It's also only available for iPhones. Because of this gatekeeping, Mashable describes the clientele as elite, with celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, Kevin Hart, and Ashton Kutcher hosting rooms alongside Silicon Valley tycoons, reporters, and social media influencers. But as more people send and receive invitations, the member list is broadening. Clubhouse plans to make the service available to all in the future. It's important to note that certain design choices like the lack of live captioning or the ability to interface with screen readers and the text styles chosen exclude many people with disabilities from the membership list. The given goal of the application is to encourage conversations amongst different people. It's hardly a coincidence that its popularity has increased during the COVID-19 pandemic when so much socialization has been forced into virtual spaces. Users turn to Clubhouse to participate in discussions, hear live podcast-style panels, and to network. Once they create an account, they are prompted to follow different topics and people, including ones from the contact lists on their phone. As the algorithms learn more about user preferences, the topics become more specialized. As human beings, we want to be told that we are special. It is something of a status symbol to have received an invite to Clubhouse, whether or not someone chooses to join. As membership becomes more and more ubiquitous, and when invitations are no longer needed to join in the future, it will be interesting to see just how much of Clubhouse's appeal is the features and how much is the exclusivity.
Currently, the Clubhouse app is free and does not have any ad-supported content on it. The creators, Rohan Seth and Bruce Davison, are using investors to financially support them. They have over 180 investors ranging from small low stakes to big venture capitalist firms such as Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz has helped them raise over $100 million to support the app and values the app at over $1 billion. They do have plans to monetize the app and are currently working on ways to tip, subscribe, and to buy tickets to current creators and events. This will allow people who are generating traffic and supplying content to Clubhouse to make money. In one of their blog posts, the creators of the app have stated that they would like to have creators be able to make a living on the app and to be able to have that as their main source of income. They are also starting to make a creator grant program. There's not much telling what that entails, but they do state that one of their biggest goals is to be able to support upcoming and new creators to the app by this creator grant program. They're looking at revenue models of other social media platforms such as YouTube and TikTok. It looks like this is what Clubhouse is leaning towards. By being able to monetize certain creators and content, they will take a small percentage of revenue from those creators and content as a sort of fee for allowing them to use the platform as like a service fee. And this will help them create profit and creators create profit.
To Clubhouse being launched by Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, the app's users include a high percentage of people within the business world. Other notable groups that appear to take up space on the app are experts in journalism, health and fitness, technology, and sports. However, it appears that one can choose from a rather exhaustive list of interests or hobbies when they are invited to join the platform. Other interests can range from comedy and film to cooking or survival tips. The actual purpose of Clubhouse is equally as broad and varies depending on who is speaking in the conversation room. Conversation rooms are the name for the phone call-esque conversation that occurs on Clubhouse. In a conversation room, most users present are just listening and are not able to speak up. The other one or two users in the conversation room are the ones speaking, either formally or more casually. Conversations can be compared to presentations, speeches, TED Talks, or sometimes appear to be more podcast style. On the more casual side, conversation rooms can even feel like a chatty phone call between a few friends or a business call among experts in the same field. This unique social platform can be very beneficial to the individuals already recognized in their field, but is definitely exclusionary to those who are just beginning or are just everyday people. The app caters to growing industries from the top to the bottom rather than the other way around, which is not always a popular method. While Clubhouse does have plans to make itself public to all users without an invitation, it seems safe to assume that some aspects of the app will remain exclusive. Clubhouse recently added a new feature that caters specifically to companies as a way to market themselves. This feature allows users to create something called clubs where they are able to market themselves to other app users. This mainly benefits startup companies which are not widely known. One club that has been successful on the app is called Brain Care Club, which focuses on improving one's physical and mental well-being through actions such as meditation and breathwork. This club hosts regular group meditations and breathwork sessions in order to create a solid community that supports their brand, all of which appears to have worked for them. Another example of Clubhouse's capability as a marketing and service medium was a workshop hosted by Treya Dion Brown, an artist and activist who focuses on education of BIPOC women. She recently advertised a project of hers which was live on Clubhouse earlier this month. The project was an acting workshop featuring Emmy winner and Oscar-nominated special guest Alfre Woodard. Although we are not able to have seen the project due to Clubhouse's exclusivity and the fact that Clubhouse does not allow recording, it appears from Brown's Twitter that the workshop was a success.
At this point, you may be wondering, what are the risks involved with an app like Clubhouse? Well, there are a lot of them, unfortunately, and today I'm going to walk you through 4 of the major risks that are involved. The first risk with Clubhouse is that you risk spending time and resources on an app that is not inclusive for all of your patrons. So, for instance, unless you have an iPhone, you cannot use this app. The app is also still quite exclusive, and you must receive an invitation in order to join. Many of your patrons may not know how to receive an invitation or who to ask in order to get one. Also, Clubhouse is in no way accessible to deaf or hearing impaired people, which presents a major problem for libraries who strive to be inclusive for all individuals. Another risk is that your library and your patrons will be limited in experiences due to the app's current technology. Users can only create one club per person, and your library might want to create several different clubs based on genres or areas of interest. Conversations also cannot be recorded or saved in the app, which limits audiences or participants in library-related initiatives if patrons are unable to join at specific times. Along the same lines, while conversations cannot be recorded or saved in the app, users never really know if they are being recorded by others with external devices on their cell phones or whatever else. With this in mind, there are some major security and privacy risks. In addition, according to Mashable, users are unable to delete their accounts within the app. You actually have to call customer support directly. This is very cumbersome for patrons and libraries both. The third risk is that you may expose your patrons to hateful and unsafe spaces. There are numerous reports of racist, sexist, homophobic discussions taking place in Clubhouse, likely because users feel emboldened in this audio-only atmosphere. People are able to speak freely without accountability stemming from screenshots or other visual aspects. I'll talk about this a little bit more in just a moment.
The fourth risk is that you risk encouraging your patrons to join digital spaces where misinformation is spreading like wildfire. Because libraries strive to encourage digital literacy, there's a major conflict of interest here. Grit Daily states that on many social media apps, there are tags or notifications to help stop the spread of misinformation. Yet, there is nothing of the sort on Clubhouse. Users are able to spread medical information that is completely false to a large group of people with no accountability. So, with all of these risks in mind, it's really not surprising that there have been several failures involved as a result of this app. So, I'm going to quickly go over two of these failures. The first one, as I mentioned before, creating safe and inclusive spaces has not been possible on this network. Users are sometimes lured into rooms under false pretenses. When speaking out about this or other issues on the app, such as racist commentary, users are reporting virtual assaults. Allison Bird wrote on her Instagram account about an instance like this, where 3,000 other Clubhouse users witnessed her virtual racist attack. She wrote, "When the attacker is confronted about their behavior, they attempt to pacify you with a shallow apology or worse, gaslight you. With the internet streets becoming our main modality of travel, 3,000 people witnessed my virtual assault. He yelled at me and called me the N-word." You can read more about this experience on Allison Bird's Instagram account. I am Allison Bird. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. There are countless reports of user harassment, as well as rooms created to facilitate discussion about being anti-LGBTQ+, anti-Black, and other dangerous prejudiced topics. One last failure. Clubhouse has failed users when it comes to the spread of viral misinformation. As I mentioned before, Clubhouse users are dispensing dangerous medical advice with abandon. Vice reports that users are spreading outlandish coronavirus conspiracy theories. Everything from false rumors that the vaccine is made from fetal cells to 5G satellites controlling people through social distancing. These lies and falsehoods have spiraled so far out of control that doctors have joined Clubhouse in their spare time to debunk these viral misinformation spreads. We consider the lack of accountability in Clubhouse as a complete failure to its users.
Clubhouse could be an excellent tool for public libraries to reach a wider audience, especially those homebound patrons and those who could not make it into the branch for programs due to time, travel, or other commitments. As mentioned earlier, one of the app's goals was to create a conversation space for people of all backgrounds to come together. It may also serve as another way of being able to access popular authors for programs. The onset of COVID-19 has brought to light how many people with disabilities and other restrictions are being left out of programs, and the way these virtual meetings and other technological advances can help these people to participate in many programs they could not previously access. While this app would be a great benefit to allow these patrons to participate in programs from home, there are several concerns about the app, especially in a public library setting. Firstly, the app is available by invite only, but a person can only send out one invite, leaving many people unable to access it. Secondly, it is currently only available on Apple iPhones. This is troublesome because it excludes a large number of patrons who do not own this expensive model phone and those who are unable to get an invite. Libraries are all-inclusive to all patrons, and hosting programs for patrons who only own iPhones would be viewed as elitist and unfair to many patrons. The other critical issue is that Clubhouse offers no support to the hearing or visually impaired communities. Since this is an audio-based program and there is no captioning, that can be very problematic for those with hearing difficulties. or even those who are learning English and find it challenging to translate and understand at a fast pace. Another problem from lack of captioning is those with speech impediments or other language barriers may be difficult for others to understand. There are also several problems with the interface for the visually impaired. The low contrast coloring on the interface and small text that cannot be enlarged makes the menu difficult to read at times. Also, as a public library utilizing this app, privacy and safety for the patrons is always a concern. The librarian hosting would have very little control over the threatening, racist, and other derogatory language that has been reported on this application. Since the app is still relatively new, there is still a chance that perhaps as it grows, it will be more inclusive to the hearing and seeing impaired. However, as a public library, we are required by law and mission to provide accessible services. So hosting programs on a third-party app that is not at all accessible to a large number of people, especially those with disabilities, seems unethical. There are still some excellent opportunities for new and enhanced library programs on this app. Clubhouse would be incredibly beneficial for libraries as passive programs where patrons can log on at any time to find a multitude of book discussions, reviews, and other events and listen while on their lunch break or commute. It would also be great to host several new book reviews or highlight other genres and authors. It would also remove several other blocks from previous social media content because people do not need any other social media apps or accounts to join. Many times, libraries will promote their programs on Facebook or Instagram, but will then host the programs on Zoom or Google Meets. The Clubhouse app allows patrons to participate in several rooms without pre-registering beforehand or switching apps. It would also be another way for librarians to work together and form a program that would appeal to both audiences and find specialists to join their conversations. It is a straightforward and welcoming way to encourage candid conversations about books and the topics they cover. Since Clubhouse works similar to a conference call, it would be a great way for homebound patrons or out-of-state patrons to attend book clubs or other literary events. The more information you give the app about your interests, the more conversation rooms and topics the app will recommend you follow or join. So book recommendations will become more personalized and suggest new books or rooms outside of a reader's favorite genres. Also, unlike traditional book clubs that rely on participants actively participating, Clubhouse is more of an interactive podcast, so many patrons may be inclined to join without the pressure of participating. However, since this is a relatively new app, there's also concern about how the room and the conversations will be suggested to a user. Would it be more business-oriented and the more popular rooms and hosts would be pushed to the top of the algorithm? Or would the app and the companies who are paying to advertise or own stock on the app be pushed to the top of a user's recommended page? In conclusion, for as many beneficial programs that could be offered on this app to patrons of a public library, the security issues, lack of control in the conversation rooms, the exclusivity of the app's invite-only availability, as well as only being available on iPhones, does not make it a suitable program platform for public libraries.